Who reached that conclusion, and how had they followed such a fine trail of evidence? Looking around the room, he was met with shocked faces. Realizing what he had in mind, they all shook their heads. For starters, we will kill all the humans here. Meh. The dark elf standing next to him thrust a staff into the ground. At that instant, it seemed like a huge, localized earthquake occurred in the courtyard. The only reason there was any doubt was because Jerkniv didn't feel a thing. Still, with the dragon and the dark elves as the epicenter, the ground shrieked. It ripped open a pattern of gaping fissures, more intricate than a spider's web. Knights, guards and casters, everyone except Fluda in the sky was swallowed up by the earth. The dark elf, casually standing there, must have skillfully kept her allies out of the area of effect. When she pulled the staff out of the ground, the fissures sealed up just as suddenly as they had opened. In fact, they closed up so quickly that the spiderweb shape appeared again as ridges of dirt. None of the knights who had been gathered in the courtyard were anywhere to be found. Everything was over all too quickly. Okay then, we killed them all. Next, we'll kill everyone in the castle. Wait, we don't know which one is the emperor, so I guess we want to do that. But if he doesn't come out soon, we'll destroy the city. Emperor, please hurry up and get out here. Why, your imperial majesty, a retainer asked, pale-faced and shuddering. Do you think by coming on a dragon they mean to say we stepped on the dragon's tail? Jerkniv willed himself to stop trembling. It wouldn't do for the emperor, the only absolute being, the man who held all power in his hand, to show fear in front of his retainers. Ain't Ulgaun, who is he? No, this isn't the time. He shouted out the window, I am the emperor, Jerkniv Rune Farlord El Nix. I want to talk. Messengers, would you mind coming over here? He faced his retainers. Prepare our warmest welcome, on the double. He turned from his retainers as they practically fell over one another, rushing out of the room, back to the dark elves, who were watching him. I underestimated him. If these are his subordinates, maybe he has too much for me to handle, but I can back down now. If you want to negotiate, then our next battle will be fought with words. Ain't Ulgaun. I'll thwart whatever it is you ray planning. Epilogue: here are the 100 gold trade coins as promised, and the bond. Upon looking at the contents of the leather pouch and nodding in satisfaction, Arch's father signed the parchment offered to him with zero hesitation. Then he stamped it with the family crest. His practiced motions were evidence that he had performed similar transactions many times. Is that all right? The man looked at the parchment and nodded. If Hecarim and Amina had been there, they would have scowled. He was the one who had come to the inn where Foresight was staying. After looking it over a few times, he was satisfied there were no errors. Once the ink had dried, he rolled it up and tossed it into a tube for safekeeping. Yes, everything's in order. The man gestured at the leather pouch in front of Arch's father and asked, You don't want to check it? It's no trouble if it's a gold off. If you say so. The man answered the generous reply with a nod. He had made sure the amount was correct, of course. Still, it was pretty bad for a family in these circumstances to not bother about a gold piece. They were probably doomed by simply having such an irresponsible person heading their household. The man didn't have a problem as long as he was a good customer. I trust we can agree to the same interest and payment period terms as always. The master of the house replied with a benevolent as expected nod. He seemed to have no inkling that he was in the inferior position in this relationship. The man nodded in acknowledgement. By the way, is your daughter well? The man remembered there were 3 of them and added, Miss Arch. Arch, she's out on a job, I see. And while your daughter is out working, what are you doing? He thought, but he skillfully concealed the contempt deep in his eyes. He began to pity the girl for having a father like this. He wasn't heartless, but the most important thing was that they pay him back with interest. And they borrow from him again and again. He wasn't keen on sticking his nose into other people's domestic affairs. Yes, it's a bit impertinent of her to go off earning money, but what can you do? The man frowned slightly at the father's grumble. If something happened, it would be a problem if it affected repayment, and he was making quite a lot on this household in interest. If possible, he wanted to keep this relationship going for a long time. For that reason, he poked his nose somewhere he normally wouldn't. Did something happen? No, nothing serious. She's just a foolish girl who has forgotten how much she owes her parents. She tries to defy us all the time. Well, if that's all, I really need to give her a good talking to about what it means to be a noble. The man didn't say what he was thinking, but he did want to say one thing must be tough. It truly is. That silly girl the man hadn't specified for whom, so Arch's father grumbled, assuming it referred to his own suffering. 100 gold trade coins was a lot of money. And if things followed the usual pattern, he would spend it all almost immediately. The man figured he would probably be summoned again in that event, but he concluded it would be better to not lend any more until the current balance was repaid. At that point, he looked around the room. Even to his eyes, the numerous furnishings filling the place were splendid. They would be enough to get back at least what he was owed. And even if he couldn't make it back with the furniture and whatnot, he lowered his eyes to conceal the emotion that came into them. I think it is strange a daughter of the Furt family should have to do such dirty work. Her friends seem like commoners, surely the despicable type. I wonder, the man said thoughtfully, recalling the pair of them he had met at the pub. Arch's father must have read something in the tone of his voice, because he hurriedly added an excuse. I don't mean anything about commoners in general. Just her friends are the adventuring type. Could be, right, maybe their influence caused her to start rebelling. I really need to give her talking to. A girl should listen to her father, that's only reasonable. She has a lot of living to do before she can talk back to me. With a glance at the offended father, the man stood up. Well, I have other clients to see, so I must be going now. I'll be expecting the repayment. When is Arch getting back again? Pretty soon. There were two little girls in the room. They looked just like two peas in a pod and were sitting side by side using the bed as a chair. The blush of pink in their white cheeks was angelic. Their features, which resembled their sister S, hinted at how beautiful they would be when they grew up. They wore matching spotless white dresses with an abundance of frills. The white legs stretching out from beneath them dangled over the side of the bed. Really? Really? Are you sure? Yup. We're moving when she gets back, right? Yup, they giggled. They hadn't given much thought to what moving actually meant, but they knew one thing when it happened. Their big sister, whom they loved so much, would never go away somewhere ever again. That made them happy. Arch was away a lot. They didn't know what she did while she was gone, but they knew it was very important, so they made a point of not complaining. Still, they wished they could play with her. Yes, they loved Arch, their warm, kind big sister, who knew so many things. She's not back yet, huh? Not yet. It'll be great one tea at Kudlika. Sure will, Erlika. I'll have her read to me. I'll have her sleep with me. No fair, Kudlika. You're not fair either, Erlika. They looked at each other with the same giddy smile. Then they laughed, their giggles sounding like jingling bells. Well, then you can read with us, Kudlika, with me and Arch. Okay, then you can sleep with us, Erlika, with me and Arch. They smiled, dreaming of the wonderful time just ahead.